Liberal Democrat spokesperson Munira Wilson.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Speaker. Can I start by thanking the Secretary of State for advance sight of her statement and for the briefing that officials provided to me. The details of this case are harrowing and deeply disturbing. My first thoughts are with the families affected, and I sincerely hope they're getting all the support and care they need. Sadly, however, this latest heinous case is part of a distressing pattern that is emerging in early years settings across the country, where safeguarding practices have not been followed or are proving insufficient to prevent babies and young children coming to harm. Less than 3 months ago, Roxana Lecker was jailed for 8 years on 21 counts of child cruelty when she worked at Riverside Nursery, Twickenham Green, in my constituency. And just last year, another nursery worker was jailed for manslaughter following the tragic death of Gigi Mihan in Cheadle. BBC Panorama exposed a worrying level of abuse and neglect in nurseries across the country. So while she's rightly said that lessons will be learned from the Camden case, it is clear that we already urgently need to strengthen safeguard in early years settings. The safeguarding panel review in the Twickenham Green case and the parents of the children affected have set out clearly 3 broad areas for change. Transparency around who is working in our early years settings, what qualifications and what training they've had, and their history and vetting. What consideration has the Secretary of State given to looking at an early years practitioner register Australia, as Australia has recently proposed? Secondly, monitoring. In the Twickenham Green and Gigi Mihan cases, CCTV was vital in securing convictions and might have caught Chan sooner, and I welcome her announcement today. But will the Secretary of State would now seriously consider mandating CCTV in nurseries with a requirement for management to regularly review footage and Ofsted to routinely check footage at inspections? And thirdly, accountability. The Vincent Chan and Twickenham Green cases involved nursery chains. Will the Secretary of State set out a timeline for when Ofsted will start corporate inspections of nursery chains and ensure that when serious safeguarding issues are found in one setting, inspections are triggered across the chain? Madam Deputy Speaker, no parent should have to worry about that their child is safe when they head off to work, but our most vulnerable are repeatedly being let down. She rightly said keeping children safe is one of the most important duties in our society. Ministers urgently need to act to do so, and we stand ready to work with them.
I'm grateful to the Honourable Lady and for her engagement with officials in discussing these matters. It's an area where I believe will be most effective if we can work across the House in addressing the very serious concerns that have been raised here, but also in a number of other cases to which she makes reference. Around the use of CCTV and whether it ought to be mandatory in use in early years settings, that will be an area that I would ask the expert advisory group to consider when they look at guidance. There are differing views across the sector and amongst parents and carers, because whilst there could clearly be benefits associated with the use of CCTV, others have raised concerns about the potential for misuse of such recordings, and we need to ensure that any guidance or changes are brought forward in line with the evidence to make sure that it leads to appropriate use of CCTV in settings and appropriate use of devices in settings. In terms of the role of Ofsted, Madam Deputy Speaker, from next April, Ofsted will inspect new early years providers within 18 months of opening and move towards inspecting all providers at least once every 4 years compared to 6 years previously. Ofsted will receive additional funding to enhance the quality of inspection by strengthening quality assurance processes and providing targeted training for inspectors. We are working with Ofsted to introduce reporting on larger nursery chains, so issues that span a group of providers can be addressed. And Ofsted will always continue to keep all settings under review to make sure that visits take place when risk assessments deem this necessary. And now, as the local review does its work, which will take place led by an independent reviewer, a reviewer independent of the local authority and local safeguarding partners, we will of course consider any recommendations that come forward through that work that have wider implications in terms of the sector and in children's safeguarding. And I will of course, Madam Deputy Speaker, continue to keep members updated on progress.